Sicilians. Hikaru, of course, is...
Yay!
Let's go.
Okay, we seem to have a small traffic jam after one e4, because the ceremonial first move has to be made on the other board as well.
And then we need the sheets.
More applause. The sheets that have the actual moves that the players need to play to reach the position. They're like, what is this chess notation thing? Haven't brushed up on my B&D files in a while.
How can they translate these strange letters into moves on the board? Now that's how it occurred. It's whatever this called, the classical Sicilian. And now the knight goes to f6. And it's fairly standard Scheveningen.
Yes, so black could play a6 and transpose into a knight, but instead we see this trade on d4 followed by b6. And that leads us to the position where the games will begin. Well, after bishop.
2 more moves. Bishop b7, king h1. King is already on h1.
It was on h1. It actually was a different type of castling.
I've practiced that to castle putting the king on h1 or the rook on e1 in one go, but normally can't get it.
I think that it would be so nice to be able to castle queenside of the king already on b1. That would be a real game changer.
That's why they call it long castles, because you also need to play king b1, so it takes an extra move.
It's like in Fisher Random when you go from, I don't know, like one side of the earth to the other, and you castle from g8 to b8. Suddenly, that king.
I feel they should change that. I feel that's a flaw in Fisher Random. Like, you can't attack on the king side, and then the king just decides, no, I'll go to the other side of the board. It doesn't make sense. Like, castling should be limited to like 3 squares away.
Yeah, I mean, you're in like New York City 1 second, and then you're in London the next minute. Like, did you take the Concorde or something?
Yeah. That does not sound right at all. Who wants to go to London?
I know, right? So, okay, the games have begun. The players are pondering their next move with white. Now, I think it's less of a high-stakes position for both sides than the previous one. But still, there's a lot of tension in the center, so maybe we should jump in and start examining some of these complications. Neither
What
player
should white do?
yet.
Know that black is ready to pounce on the center with d5. Can't do that.
I think my blitz instinct would be bishop f3 or rook 81, but I could also see a case being made for a very positional approach like a4. I do have a slight worry that black is sort of threatening d5 and then bishop c5. Bishop f3 has been played.
Yeah, that looks very natural. But covering e4, neutralizing the other b7.
Can black weasel away with I mean, I don't think Magnus will play this because it's a bailout attempt. But d5 can't be calculated here.
Yeah, I thought you might end up slightly worse with just d5, ed5, but maybe it's nothing special. Queen.
I think it's just
three,
a
where
big
would you
trade.
do?
Takes.
Yeah, let's say bishop takes, or knight takes, doesn't matter, rook d1.
Yeah. It's just a total bailout and a draw.
Fairly equal, bishop d5, edc3. Black has the isolated pawn, but white has a pawn f4, so it can't be very much.
Guess what?
And
Magnus
d5
has already played d5.
Wow.
And
showing some rook game skills here, Bassem. Like, because a lesser player, I would just lose this kind of stuff to Magnus. I understand the drawing margin is never overstep, but it's also so easy to panic when he does his little waiting move thing there with g6, h5. Bassem just kept his cool all the way.
Yeah, it's. I've never played Magnus in an over-the-board classical game, but I've had the honor to face him many times in Blitz and Bullet, and trust me, you still feel it. You feel like you're always losing. Even when you know rationally a position is equal or you're in better, you feel like he's pressing you, and it's just this intangible aspect that makes to play people like Magnus and Hikaru, they just, they make you question your sanity, and they make you think you're losing when you're up a piece. It's the psychological effect really is that powerful. Trust me, I've played him enough to know that. I'm telling the chat, the fans.
You're one of the few people who can play them on even footing. No? If the clock is low enough, you can hang with these guys. So they still, even a bullet, they're in your head, or there is fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have that from the streets style that can make them uncomfortable, but it's strict and no increment to start the game. That's my stipulation.
Even there, these guys aren't terrible, so that is very impressive.
I appreciate it. There it is. We have a repetition happening right now.
And Magnus has seen enough here. It looks scary for white, but there's just absolutely nothing he can do with this king box. The one thing not to blunder here is after a2 to play, I don't know, king e2 or rook a6 and allow rook h1, but that doesn't happen at this level. So they would just call it a day. After a2, white plays king g2, and there's nothing to do.
Okay, and a repetition. That was a much more informal process than we're used to in the tournament, like the candidates, when a repetition is claimed, but here it is clear that there's nothing left to do. We have a peaceful result, and on the other board, that is soon to follow. Let's listen in for a bit to the discussion.